And no one would have believed that in the last years of the 19th century, that human affairs would have been washed from the timeless worlds of a YouTube live stream. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sound and Scope, the show that covers indie filmmaking, fandom, pop culture, and everything in between. As always, I am your humble host, Nick Darf, Alex Ferrari, from Indie Film Muscles. Good podcast, should have a listen. As always, I am Luke Walters, and it is War of the Worlds Day, because midnight on the 12th of August, a large plume of luminous gas shot out from the surface of Mars and headed straight for Earth, because nothing else is happening in the skies of planet Earth today. I think this would be a good time, because I've just recently watched the George Pal War of the Worlds, the BBC War of the Worlds. I tried to watch the Fox War of the Worlds. I'm a bit of a War of the Worlds fan, as people might know, just because of the stuff I make. So I thought, but there's never been a definitive version of War of the Worlds put to screen. There's been a large number of adaptations, all various degrees of quality, all various swings. But yeah, we've never had that one definitive one. So I'd like to talk about it, and we'll talk some other stuff as well. We'll talk about some Hollywood nostalgia and Robert Pattinson, Primetime, and some other interesting things that I've got up my sleeve. But first of all, I'd like to bring on Mr. James Dorburn. He's back. His internet seems to be working for now. You all right, James?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, nice. How's it been? Are you watching the eclipse, or are you just looking out for the Martian cylinder that's just left Mars?
Both, but unfortunately, I blinded myself looking at the eclipse, so I won't be able to see the Martian cylinder.
No, that's good then, because some of the things I got to show you later, you might want to poke your eyes out at. A tripod design from the Fox team, bless him. Yeah, good. You're a War of the Worlds fan. We met through War of the Worlds. We did a film together. I made War of the Worlds, but we made War of the Worlds, ironically. Yeah. So
yes, we did indeed. No.
Yeah. Oh, that was 3 years ago now. Three years ago. I know. Yeah, I know. It was over 3 years ago actually, and we'll be doing the feature film soon, hopefully. For everyone listening, we'll be doing I Made War of the Worlds, the feature film.
Coming soon, hopefully.
Coming soon, hopefully. Yeah, it depends. If these live streams get watched and we get monetized, then it'll be out even sooner. But speaking of live streams and podcasts, he is an award-winning podcast producer and editor. It is Dan McLaughlin. Dan, you all right, lads?
I'm very well. It's very good of you that the budget is stretched to creating solar eclipse of the Earth. You know, it's spectacular, Luke, that we've finally got the CGI for that.
Yeah, it's all AI, mate. All AI. Sorry, it's not a real thing. So I did have the sudden realization, though, that the solar eclipse now is the last one up until, is it 2090? So I was like, that's probably the last solar eclipse a lot of us will ever see. So, which is a very sobering thought.
Thanks for starting on mortality.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to, haven't you? You just got to. So, Dan, are you a big War of the Worlds fan?
I'm probably not as big as a fan as you guys, but I did back in the day when I was at Sixth Form study War of the Worlds. We did a comparison of the 1953 version and the Spielberg version. So, I'm very much excited to try and go through my old Sixth Form notes and scribbles and try and remember what we studied and see if you guys want to call me a heretic and stone me and burn me, which, you know, and watch me watch his heart bubble.
No, that's absolutely fine. So the 1952, 1953, in my head it's 1953. I should know. I watched it last night. It's incredible. It's an incredible movie, but it is very much a Cold War era type movie. All moved to America. There's no red weeds, but it is a fantastically. Oh God, my camera's decided to do a madness now. But it is a fantastically made film. James, are you aware of this version? It's the grandfather of science fiction.
I am aware of it. Have you
seen this version?
I've never seen it. I've seen lots of posters of it. It's a movie that has a lot of really cool posters. And
yeah, fair, and a lot. Yeah, it's a bit.
As far as I've seen.
No, it's good. It's good. Dan, so you have seen this one. So even though James is a War of the Worlds aficionado now, last time I spoke to him last night, he was reading the book. But you've got one up on him already because you have seen this.
I did, and I remember particularly you've got, is it, the actor's name? He plays like the scientist and the doctor in it. And all I can remember him is like a scientist.
He plays Clayton, who also you play in I Made War of the Worlds. So Yeah. Happy
And
War of the Worlds in the
I,
chat
I,
as well.
I do remember the actor. One of his things in the scenes was he was like the leading man trying to play a scientist, and every time he wanted to be smouldering or sexy, he had glasses in the film, and he would take them off every time he wanted to really labour a point, and then put them back on again. And I thought that was a really good flirting tip. But when I try it, it just looks, well, I can't look at my vision so bad. I end up looking somewhere differently.
I mean, hey, we all flirt in our own different ways. So no, but it's the first time I watched it in a long while was last night, and I forgot how incredible it is. But it's very much not War of the Worlds to me. It's a great alien invasion film. Like, it's a fantastic film, but it's not War of the Worlds in the sense that it's an alien invasion movie. It's very much an alien invasion movie. So, James, you've read it. How far did you get into reading it last night? Did you finish it today?
79 pages.
70. That's not bad. That's not bad. So obviously, there's been a load of adaptations of this, and every one of it, the Steven Spielberg one was, post 9/11. Then the BBC one was a load of shit. Actually, it's not too bad. This one is very much Cold War era. So, do you think that filmmakers? I'm not going to mention the Ice Cube one. I'm not. I'm bringing that up later. But do you think then fundamentally filmmakers misunderstand the story of War of the Worlds when translating it to the big screen?
Do you know what? I had this thought when I was reading it. I was like, I think that we kind of underestimate just how formative that book is for what we recognize as science fiction. So, like, it's not a massively intricate story. That, like, H.G. Wells takes pains in the early pages to go, like, let me get you on board with the idea of life on other planets, and not bestial life, but life that's as intelligent or more intelligent than us. And it ruins its ecosystem and comes here. Like, all of that, you can't make a movie about that anymore, because it'd be like, and so what? It'd be like, there's life on other planets. Yeah, we know, that's a given. And so what? And it's more intelligent than humans. Yeah, okay. And what else? So I think to try and adapt that, you really need to sort of embellish it and stretch it until it's not really recognizable, because this is kind of like a formative text for half a century of sci-fi that came after it by the time this movie had come out.
Yeah, so a lot of it, obviously a lot of the inspiration of it as well is the imperialism of it, of us going up. I know Tanzania was mentioned in his writings and stuff. So do you think that is a lot of people missing that element to it now when we're watching it on the big screen?
I think that for a definitive adaptation, it does need to be a period piece. I think that setting and those sensibilities are key to sort of that story as told. And any adaptation that sort of takes it out of that time period does lose a big chunk of the core of the original story.
Yeah, so my follow-up question was, do adaptations lose something when they take out that chunk? So, fair play. You're plowing ahead of my notes. Well done. Well done. So, Dan, are you a fan? Like, you've seen both films now. You've seen years and years ago. Do you recognize these as just, related to the War of the Worlds text, the actual book, or you just see them as two separate pieces of creative media?
I think you make a good point saying related to a version of, and it's not a direct adaptation, and we've got to kind of appreciate that and almost respect that. And the novel itself was, what was it, late 19th century novel, and
So
it's
1897 or something, I think.
Yeah. So every bit of sci-fi, whether it's the OG sci-fi, which is the H.G. Wells novel, reflects the time it is in. So as you sort of alluded to with the Spielberg thing, that's sort of post 9/11 adaptation of the H.G. Wells OG, and the 1950s version is very much like the Cold War version of it. So the best sci-fi reflects the times in which you live in. Even if you're trying to do almost a direct adaptation and set it in the 1890s, whatever, and you film it today, you're still going to try and reflect something of the 2026 with it. if you were to try and have an absolute direct, faithful, proper adaptation of it, you probably won't get the same magic as you would from the book. You always want to have a version of something when you're doing a film. Like, I am a massive Christmas Carol fan. It is, I think, the finest book ever written. And you've had so many adaptations of that. You'll never capture the magic of that book, but you'll certainly get some creativity with it. In the same way with H.G. Wells and War of the Worlds, you'll never quite capture the magic of the original book, but you'll have your own little mark on it. Although going back to the Christmas Carol thing, Muppets Christmas Carol is obviously the best adaptation of it.
I mean, we got a new one coming out, haven't we, with Johnny Depp, but I'm not going to talk about that. So Gavin in the chat says the chances of a good adaptation coming out of Hollywood is 1,000,000 to 1. They said, brilliant.
Is that from something?
Yeah, I think it sounds somewhat familiar. So the two big adaptations then that are done that are in the public zeitgeist are both been shot over, been pilfered and taken to America. So do these still feel like a War of the Worlds adaptation if it's not 18th, 19th century England? If we're dealing with modern connotations with it, do you think it's still yeah, does it still feel like War of the Worlds or just any other alien invasion film now? Because we've had so many of them now.
I personally don't think so, because I think the war narrative of War of the Worlds is a very, very, well, pre-World War I colonial British idea of conflict, which in any post-World War II American setting, like the whole idea of war just feels different. So that narrative is just kind of different as well.
So Steven Spielberg, then the king himself, bless him. He in 2005 he got the pint-sized man himself, Mr. Tom Cruise, and Dakota Fanning. Dakota. Yeah, the less said about her screaming every 5 minutes. If she wasn't in the film, it'd be infinitely better. But
that's a softer take than you had off camera.
I'm not going to what I said on camera, off camera before this. I'm definitely not going to say on live stream because. But do you think, like, I watched it and it's okay as a film, as an alien invasion film? It's actually okay. There's a lot of bits in it that do. Gavin in the chat says straight away. He says, "I can hear that picture and infinitely." Yeah, I agree. It's screaming every 5 minutes or asking for a mother absolutely does my nut in. But Tom Cruise is pretty good in it. And so is what's his name from Shawshank, Tim as well. That's the only people I recognize from it, ironically. But it is a good alien invasion film. But do you think it's a good War of the Worlds film, or is it just simply a good Steven Spielberg alien invasion film? And that's that either to both of you.
I'm going to say it's not even by Steven Spielberg's standards. It's not his best alien invasion film. So, and I don't know. I was doing a bit of research on this today because I don't just show up and completely half-ass this, and I would not have been willing to put any money on this being shot on film. I just assumed it was digital, but apparently it was shot on film. But it's just so like washed out and grey. It's just not. I know I've seen this movie several times, and there's a handful of scenes that stick in my memory. It's just there's a couple of Spielberg movies from this period as well that just kind of wash completely out my brain.
Yeah, it's very much, especially when you get to like some of the location stuff is beautiful when you see the Martian tripods and stuff. But when it swaps from very much location based to a studio, when he comes out of the farmhouse and it's all the red weed, you're like, oh right, okay, cool. We can kind of see where all the money's gone now because they want to do the red weed, which is fine. But it does feel like at times it's almost slightly Tim Burton-esque on the way it's shot. The very crushed blacks, and it's a very, very strange one. But there is some shots in it that are very much from the book, or not from the book because it's a book, so there'd be no shot in the book, would it? But it's from the drawings.
Let me just check for you.
Yeah, if you could have a look at some of the drawings in the War of the Worlds book, please, that would be amazing. But no, I think there is when you see after the Thunder Child bit, we do see the Martian tripods on the side of the mountain with a destroyed boat, which is one of the drawings from back then. So we do get it. We do have Ogilvy, even though he's kind of emerged between the curate, the artillery man. He's kind of a mixed mash of characters. and it just seems a bit. So Spielberg seems to understand the material a lot better than probably George Powell, I would say. I know George Powell produced it; he did direct it before anyone decides to correct me on any platform. But I think Spielberg does have a bigger grasp on the source material than he did in the 1950s. Would you say so, Dan?
Again, this is very much a version of it, and I'm sort of jumping to probably what the bigger debate is. This feels like a War of the Worlds universe film. It feels like almost like a spin-off from it, kind of. I think Tom Cruise is quite good in this. I get the complaints about the widening families, but what Spielberg does and what Spielberg does for a lot of his films is center it on the family. He tries to root it. He tries to have it as this, everyday character that you center it around. And I think the everydayism of this works better than some of the bigger sci-fi set pieces. But I have to say, I do like the farmhouse sequence within it. And I think the tripods, they look great in this film. I think they are a good but again, not an adaptation, a good version of it, a good interpretation of an own idea from it. That's kind of, you've got the source material, then you've got your shoot off, and I think this is a good sort of decent shoot off from Spielberg.
So I think my only gripe with it is very much the George Powell one, the OG, is very much a love story, which is fine. We can't have, because the book is not written as this is written, in as like a diary per se. So we have to have something to connect with our characters. We can't have it as is. So I guess you do have to take some artistic liberation with it.
That's a Victorian literature thing. Even when you look back at something like Frankenstein or Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they're all written in that sort of, this thing happened, I'm retelling this story as a letter. And that's really difficult to adapt. Because I don't think even now, I don't think there's been a definitive Frankenstein or even a definitive Dracula compared to the novel. Therefore, I think War of the Worlds is a tricky one to do because of the source material works as a source material because of how it's written. They are difficult to adapt.
And speaking of difficulties to adapt, the BBC, for all their guff and bluster, tried to adapt it. I think Peter Harness is the writer. Don't quote me on that. Or he might have wrote the Fox one. He wrote one of them. It should be in my notes, but I haven't checked. But have you seen this version of it? It was only 3 parts. It got shot like 2 or 3 years before it came out, and then it got leaked online before it actually come onto the BBC. And I think they trailed it for like a year, and no one ever heard anything of it. It's with Robert Carlyle as well, isn't it? And whoever plays Lestrade in Sherlock, bless him, it does a good turn. But are you aware of this version of it? Because this one takes some liberties with the source material, shall we say. James, have you seen this one?
I haven't actually seen it, no. I'm aware of it, because didn't it come out COVID time? Or just when it, or was that when something leaked? I know. And I know they were filming some of it in Liverpool as well. So I'm aware of it, but no.
Yeah, it came out, I think, 2018, 2019-ish. It was a bit of a swing. So I think they based a lot of it, the journalist, they based George, they called him. What a surprise. They based a lot of that on H.G. Wells' life to a degree. So we saw a bit of his real life interwoven into the adaptation. But then you find out within the first 5 minutes that spoilers, that he's actually dead. He did not survive. And his lovely lady friend actually survived it. And they flash forward to the future, and Earth has been terraformed towards what it is like on Mars. And her and their son are surviving. And it's such a weird adaptation, because you're jumping back and forth between it. So you don't really get the sense of danger of being like, right, okay, well, there's a Martian invasion, or blah, blah, blah. Because as soon as every time she gets in trouble, they just flash forward to the future, and this Earth is terrible. Yeah, have I sold you on this? But do you want to watch it?
Please tell me less.
Yeah, I think it's good that we finally have got an adaptation that's actually set back in the correct time period. Like it looks beautiful, it looks stunning. Even the Martian tripods look cool, but there's not a lot to it. It just, yeah, it's a bit of a swing. Gavin in the live chat here says the BBC version was awful. Anybody mentioned Britain or the Empire? Yep. Yeah, it was a bit of a, yeah, I don't know. I appreciated it for what it was. I recently did a rewatch of it, and it wasn't as bad as I remembered it, but it wasn't, yeah, considering this is the first time they're actually doing one that's true to the time period. It was a bit of a swing and a miss. Yeah. So do you think to do the definitive War of the Worlds adaptation, then do you think we'd have to drop the pretense of modern day and try and do what the BBC did and go back to yesteryear?
Well, yeah, I personally do, because I think that you just need to do a love letter to like one of the progenitors of modern sci-fi and do it for a small budget, accepting that you're going to be attracting an audience who are happy with a really simple story because it's a really good story and it is sort of foundational to a genre, and just luxuriate in it a bit.
So Dan, do you think one of the problems then is in War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells didn't give us a definitive action hero per se, because we just go along with this. Everything happens around him and to him, and yeah, and now we're trying to adapt it for the big screen. So we kind of force in, there's like with the George Powell one, we got the love interest. For the Tom Cruise one, we've got the family dynamic. For the BBC one, we've got whatever they decided to do. For the Ice Cube one, you've got Ice Cube. Basically, we're reenacting the Ice Cube one now. Yeah, do you think it's down to the story not having an actual conventional action hero type?
It's all H.G. Wells' fault, really. He, not having the foresight of thinking of numerous adaptations across film, radio, TV. What a swine for not thinking about, oh God, I wish I would have come up with something from central casting to be able to sell my idea. I mean, the problem, it's not the source material per se. It's the direction in which you take it. But I'm still not sold on the idea you can necessarily have a direct adaptation of the novel. You've got to have your own take. Doesn't mean it has to be a completely sideways take or something that's going to completely reinvent it. But you've got, you're right. You've got to have a central point to it. But is there an appetite for something like this? Because I remember the adverts for the BBC one, but I never sat down and watched it. I don't think there was an appetite for that sort of adaptation of War of the Worlds. It was almost like they were sort of scratching around for ideas, and they came up with something that was kind of not, but maybe kind of, and it doesn't feel like it had a specific identity for it or a specific vision for it. And what you probably need is someone with that absolute solid vision for War of the Worlds.
James, do you think a true adaptation, do you think a studio would actually just go out and finance, be like, right, okay, we'll do the book verbatim? Do you think studio would be willing to chuck some money at it?
Not at all. Absolutely not. No. That, like, again, even just to get it off the ground, you've got to be pitching it with an angle. And I was reading the passage when he's going back toward Horsell Common in the dog car after he's dropped his missus off, and he sees like the tripod come out of the dark and flips the dog car and kills the horse and everything. And I was like, oh, I could picture that as a really good horror set piece. Maybe someone could do a different genre War of the Worlds. That's how you'd pitch it. You go like, yeah, we're in the age of low budget YouTube horror. Maybe some YouTube creators can do a horror version of War of the Worlds.
Well, it is a horror. It is a horror film, or it is a horror story as well as the sci-fi story. It would have been the original Gothic horror, but with spacey elements.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of horror, the definitive, the untouchable. Have you seen this, Dan?
I hadn't heard of this until you had entered it into my life, Luke, and I'm still scratching my head going, Why? Who thought this would be a good idea?
Oh,
But-
that's the feeling you have the entire time watching it. It's fantastic.
But this
It
was
is.
signed off. There was a script, and then there was a director, and a producer, and a budget allocated, and a cinematographer, and it was edited, and then broadcast or published or whatever.
See, that's where you're wrong. You think that it was actually filmed and edited. Like it's indescribable.
Yeah, I think we watched. We've got a thing. Me and James and a couple others. It's called the Shit Movie Club, where we watch shit movies. We have a couple of drinks, and then I think this was the inaugural one. And oh my god, I think it took us about 4 hours to watch it because we had to keep pausing, going back, and laughing. I have never seen a film like it in my life. I don't know how it's called War of the Worlds, but it is the greatest piece of cinema in modern history. Like if any filmmakers are out there and you want to feel better about yourself, just watch this movie. It's utterly incredible. It's utterly incredible. I absolutely love it. It's highly recommend for a laugh. Highly recommend for a laugh. But another one is the Fox one. Have you seen the Fox one either? This is a TV series. It was 3 series long. It's on Disney Plus currently.
I've never even heard of it. How long have we been on? 26 minutes. Yeah, I found out about this 27 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's all filmed in Cardiff and Newport. It's a bit of a weird one. I think it was a co-production with Canal, so it's half French. So it's a bit of a weird one. I'll show you. You haven't seen the tripods of this because it is a TV series. I think the tripods were slightly practical. Bearing in mind that this might look bigger, but it's actually a robot dog.
It's not even a tripod. It's got 4 legs.
No, I know. Again, it's such a weird one. It's as a TV series. It's as an alien invasion TV series with a bit of time travel and stuff in the middle of it. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not War of the Worlds. I don't know why, because all these started coming around when was it 2017, 2018, when all his work started entering into the public domain. So everyone was rushing to make War of the Worlds. No one made the time machine, but we made the time machine. It was at that time when it was plowing ahead, and this one come around, and it's as a series itself. If you detach it from War of the Worlds, it's okay for the first 2 seasons. The third season just
how many seasons? Jesus Christ, they got 3 seasons out of it.
It's 3 seasons out of it. Yeah. They funded the Welsh film industry for like 3 or 4 years at this point. Like it's
So we've got to blame the Welsh for it. Okay, that's fine.
No, it's blame the French. Blame the French for this. Blame absolutely the French. There's because we've had so many adaptations. I do recommend watching it if you want to watch something alien invasion-y, but it is War of the Worlds in name, really, in nothing else. It's a lot of. Apart from that, it's yeah. There's another one. I don't know if you've seen this. War of the Worlds: The Attack. Have you seen this? I know the guy looking like he's wearing Smithy's jacket from Gavin and Stacey. Are you aware of this?
It's not a Welsh production, or?
No, it's not another Welsh production. It's very much straight. I think it's straight to DVD. I know I've got it sat in my living room, and I know I've watched it. It's not the worst adaptation of War of the Worlds. It sticks pretty close to the book to a degree. It's like a modern day Spielberg one. Are you aware of this version of?
It kind of looks like Attack the Block, or it's going to be something of a comedy.
It is very much that vibe, yeah. It is very much Attack the Block meets War of the Worlds. There's some hokey CGI in it, but you could tell they did try. Like they did
that
actually.
Poor fella's just been shot in the back at the front of the poster. He's a goner by the looks of it from that angle.
It's I like you can pick it up and like I don't know, £5 in HMV probably. If you're a War of the Worlds fan, I do recommend it. It's not an amazing War of the Worlds movie, but it sticks pretty close. You got the army and stuff as well. You got these go on this journey. It's I made War of the Worlds is better, but you know who am I to judge? But I'd say there is one probably actually kind of close definitive adaptation of War of the Worlds, but it is not on big screen as much as he's been trying for years to get it on big screen. It is, yes, yes, it is. It is the Jeff Wayne prog rock album from the 70s. Dan, are you aware of this?
I'm aware of the album. I'm aware of the cover art, but I've never sat down and listened to it. But maybe this is telling us something, that War of the Worlds works as the original novel. It works as a prog rock, album, but probably just doesn't work on TV or film.
This was my life growing up. I prefer War of the Worlds to Doctor Who, and that's sacrilege to some of the people that know me. So I love War of the Worlds, and I think this album is phenomenal. Richard Burton narrates it as well, which is very dear to my heart as another Taff. Yeah, I think this is the closest we're going to get to a definitive adaptation. James, you held the records up then? Are you a fan?
Oh, I was actually listening to it when I was looking at the Eclipse. And when we were ticking down to when the little postcode tracker said we were going to have the most Eclipse or the least sun we were going to get, it was the start of the Forever Awesome track where they're the chimes. And I'm like, oh, it's actually counting down to the Eclipse. This is amazing.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. There's two versions of it. There's this one. There is the one with Liam Neeson and Gary Barlow on it, which is just yeah,
you've sold it, mate. You've sold it.
No, I'm not selling you on. I'm not selling you on Gary Barlow and Liam Neeson. I'm talking Richard Burton and Justin Hayward and Chris Thompson. Like, go for them guys. I recently just saw it in the Co-op Live, and it was Charlie from Busted instead of Justin Hayward, and bless it, he didn't have the voice for it. So, but
I just want Gary Barlow to narrate it, as a Richard Burton thing. It was August 12th at midnight, and it would be delightful.
He sings the chances of anything coming from Mars. I'm not going to sing it, but Jeff Wayne has been trying to get this version on screen for years. Back in 2011, I met him. It was Richard Burton Day in the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and they had Richard Burton. They didn't have Richard Burton because he's dead. That'd be a surprise. But they had Jeff Wayne over to do a talk just about War of the Worlds, and it was ridiculously poorly advertised. So they had a 200-seater theater, and there was like 6 of us, and that was it. And he talked about making War of the Worlds and stuff. And I asked him the question. I was like, so how does it feel knowing that people think like the modern blockbuster, the 2005 Steven Spielberg version, pales in comparison to an album you made in the 70s? And he told the story then about how when Spielberg was making the film, because he owned Jeff Wayne owned the rights to the music, but he didn't own the rights to the film. Spielberg wanted the rights to everything. He wanted them all in a neat little box. So he approached Jeff Wayne to buy the rights to the music, and he said, "No." He said, "You're not buying the rights." He said, "But you can have the rights for free if I can have your movie rights." And he said no repeatedly. And then I think some execs got involved, and Jeff Wayne kind of was like, "Oh yeah, you tell him that." On a panel in like the 90s, him, George Lucas, and someone like Ridley Scott voted this album the best sci-fi thing ever made, blah, blah, blah. And then Spielberg came out and was like, "Yeah, you can have the rights for free." And so Jeff Wayne has had the movie rights for free for years, but he hasn't done it. Like, he hasn't done it. Have you been to see?
I was going to say, it's a question for you, Luke. Do you think it can be done then? Do you think it can make that step between this amazing musical experience and a fantastic film?
I think this version, as it is now, you can do this. You can do this. This could be a solid 90 minute 100 play. It is a 100 play film. I think this version, the Jeff Wayne one, you can. It lends itself more to it, especially because some of the CGI in the live show was actually the CGI for the film that they were making. So it's kind of already there, but he kind of wanted it to be a mix mash of CG and how it is. Have you ever seen the live stage show, James?
I have not. No.
You haven't?
I haven't. No, I actually haven't. I missed it when it was at the Co-op Live. Yeah, no.
Oh mate, I'm kind of disappointed in you as a War of the Worlds fan. I'm kind of disappointed to you. I remember, so the first time that we met, didn't you tell me the story about when you moved to Liverpool, the only album you had was War of the Worlds?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I had no internet for the first week, no TV for the first. I basically had electricity for 2 weeks, and a record player I got for Christmas, and 3 records. One of them was War of the Worlds. So, like, my evening's entertainment when I was having my dinner was just like, I listen to War of the Worlds again and again and again, every night for about 2 weeks.
So are we selling you on this, Dan? Are you going? Are you
I do have
keen to go watch the live adaptation?
I have a record player, so I might stick on the record first. And I think a live show for something like this could work with music that is quite. I can imagine something like this really just popping and sounding amazing and being an incredible live experience. But again, it's that transition, and maybe War of the Worlds just doesn't need that transition. Keep it to the theatre, keep it to the record, keep it to the book. Some things are just golden in those art forms, in those platforms.
So I spoke about Liam Neeson taking over. James, have you heard the new version of the War of the Worlds?
I've heard bits of it. Yeah, I think the old one is just too ingrained into my brain that there's like a delay where I'm expecting to hear a certain sound, and then if something jars with that, I go like, oh no, I don't quite like that. It just
So I was going to say, because Liam Neeson does definitely have a very definitive voice, like Richard Burton does. But now every time I hear like any War of the Worlds narration, even if it's the 2005 one, I'm expecting or want a Richard Burton.
Yeah.
Do you think his voice has become the narrator for War of the Worlds? Or
it's
do you
become Richard Burton's voice has become my internal monologue when I was reading the book. I was reading everything in Richard Burton's voice, which was actually a lovely experience. But yeah, no, like I think for people, and for a lot of people actually, this music will have been their sort of gateway into the story of the War of the Worlds. And I don't know, yeah, it is very formative, and I just do hear that voice and those motifs, and David Essex is the artilleryman. It's just
yeah.
I can't help it. It's for me anyway. Like this was probably the first piece of War of the Worlds media I ever consumed.
Same.
So yeah.
So on paper, then, a Victorian alien invasion told through a prog rock album sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's not ridiculous. So why do you think it doesn't feel ridiculous, James?
I think, weirdly, when we were talking earlier about like maybe it's difficult to translate into film because there isn't like an action protagonist, the journalist goes through exactly the same story beats in the record as he does in the book, but it doesn't feel passive. Richard Burton doesn't feel passive in it. So I think there is a way to translate that narrative with a protagonist who still feels like he has some agency, even though he's getting washed away in the chaos of it. So I think that the record does have a really good blueprint for translating the narrative thrust of it without having an action hero. So I think that's a definite tick in its favor for one.
Yeah, this is the version I'd love to see put to film. But because this has become so iconic around the world now, like Jeff Wayne still tours it. We did have the live immersive experience that has sadly died a death, which Jeff Wayne was funding after the company went into liquidation. But do you think Jeff Wayne has created imagery that's become almost iconic as the story himself, the book itself? You know, like the Martian tripod, the heat ray, the red weed. So that is now synonymous, the Jeff Wayne version, with the War of the Worlds, as the book is.
Oh god, for me, 100%, like completely. The lovely little, like the lyric sheet with all of the artwork and everything. The underground, that is now when I revisit it, and not even when I'm listening to the record, but reading the book or anything. That imagery is the imagery I see, because it's just so vibrant and otherworldly and fantastic.
How important is the Thunder Child? Because it doesn't feature in a lot of adaptations.
I know, it's bizarre to me. The whole sequence as described is like it's pure Spielbergian tension, actually. So like it's
Yeah.
a very filmic sequence. So it's very strange that it's been omitted from so many adaptations. And also the Thunderchild motif at the end of the B side of the first disc is really, really nice.
It's great. It's great. I'll have to get you on it, Dan. I'll have to come around the flat and we'll just get drunk and listen to War of the Worlds. It's great.
Hey, mate, that sounds like an ideal Friday night. Yes, why not?
It's good. I've had it on all day. So yeah. So do you think there's a danger then that if someone come out now and try to make the definitive War of the Worlds, people would just kind of already pass it by and just think of Jeff Wayne?
Well, you see that with, I mean, something like Lord of the Rings, where the books are phenomenal and you'll never be able to create them, page by page as an adaptation. The thing that came closest was obviously the Peter Jackson films, which were just peak cinema in my eyes. And then when you get Amazon coming in later on trying to do Rings of Power, then you get a lot of fans going, well, it's not quite Peter Jackson. Well, Peter Jackson wasn't quite Tolkien. So if you've got a definitive version in some fans' eyes, they will cling on to it for their dear life and say that is the version. And I suspect that'll be the same for the fans of the Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. Anything else but that, they will just reject immediately and be maybe actively hostile to it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned something to do with Klingon then, and I was like, just not bring Star Trek into this because that's an entirely different conversation. One that James could probably contribute to. I can't. And so, do you think if someone made a faithful adaptation of War of the Worlds, the book, would you be tempted? Would you want Jeff Wayne music anywhere near it, or would you want it like arm's length, James?
Well, if it was made personally for me, I would want Jeff Wayne's music all over it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think as well, too often the people who get there first end up being the definitive. And as like for both of us, this was our entry point to then consume all other media. So we've kind of got a weird capacity to look at other stuff critically and be like, there hasn't been a definitive film adaptation. There hasn't been, but in the back of our minds, it's because this for us is our Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Like this is the baseline definitive War of the Worlds, just because it kind of, for me, was what got to me first.
Yeah, fair. Dan, do you think anyone will ever try and adapt the book faithfully? And do you think it can be done, or do you think it should be done?
I think the person who probably would adapt it would be you, Luke, frankly. But
no, so we're doing I Made War of the Worlds the feature. It's a short film me and James and John Carley and Elizabeth made, and we're doing that version of it. I'm not touching the book. I know I can't do it justice, but I can do a version of it.
But that's exactly it, because
you've got me.
That's my point. Like it goes back to the first point I made. You always have a version of an adaptation of a reimagining of. If you do it page by page, word by word, just read the bloody book in the first place. And even then, our imaginations and interpretations of the page by page, word by word, would be different from yours and mine. We imagine the characters in different ways, which I know is the root thing of any media and any reimagining of it. And I think for War of the Worlds, it exists as a really amazing bit of literature, and it exists as other bits of literature and like music. Clearly, prog rock is clearly at the moment the best imagining of it. I just don't think you could do it like for like, but that's not the point, because if you did, I think it would probably be dull or it just wouldn't quite work anyway.
Yeah, James, why do you think so many people just can't get War of the Worlds right?
I don't, like I say, like if you're looking to adapt it and you go back to the source material, I think it's hard not to see everything that sort of came after that built on those ideas and expanded it more. So if you go back and do a pure adaptation of the text, it would probably feel lacking to modern audience sensibilities for what they expect from an alien invasion. I mean, for all intents and purposes, bloody Independence Day is War of the Worlds.
Yeah, even the Martians look very similar in 2005 to Independence Day. They look very, very similar, which is shocking.
Yeah, but like if you're going to do a faithful adaptation, you're going to realize that, oh God, this was a science fiction story that was written at the turn of the 20th century. Like, we have kind of come a long way since then in genre storytelling, and it might feel a little anemic. So you're going to probably be feeling that you need to do a little, you need to tart it up a little bit. And then before too long, it's kind of unrecognizable from the thing that you're trying to faithfully adapt.
Yeah, I think just stick with Jeff Wayne. I think we'll make our version, and that will be the definitive one. I think the Jeff Wayne one's incredible. The Jeff Wayne.
Do you reckon Jeff Wayne, if you ask him nicely, will he give you the rights to use his music in it?
I'll tell you. Oh wait, do you remember the premiere we did of I Made War the Worlds, Time Machine and Invisible Man we did in December? And I I'm not going to talk about that live. But no, I just think I think people miss the point of the book when they translate it to the screen.
At the start, he's talking about how the Martians are coming here because they completely shit out their environment and they just colonize here, like the same that we did to the bison and the dodo. So if you made a story that faithfully adapted that now, everyone would call it woke, and it'd be an absolute hellscape.
Oh, that if I just clip that bit, then that would just do so well. Yeah, no, I think it just doesn't work for modern day. It just doesn't work. I think people miss a lot of the story. It is imperial. It's what the British done. It's these alien invaders, and I get you can adapt it. I guess post 9/11 is kind of correct because it is dealing with what they were dealing with at the time. But I don't. Yeah,
it's also a shame as well. It's a shame as well because it's influenced so much that came after it. People seeing that now, who hadn't and that was their first exposure to it, they would think that it was derivative of the stuff that had been inspired by it, and I just don't know if it would feel special as a movie with the entirety of 20th century science fiction that came after the book.
But the movie that would work is that one. That's the one movie,
because that would feel incredibly special because it's a prog rock album as well.
That would. Yes, actually, and if you're on Audible, there's a version of this on Audible read by Michael Sheen and Taron Egerton to the Jeff Wayne music as well, and it is the Jeff Wayne more the world. Yeah, it's a fantastic. Taron Egerton plays the artilleryman, and Michael Sheen he's the narrator. It is absolutely incredible. It's a really good listen. So that's probably as close we're gonna get. We got a comment in the chat. What did you think of the radio version? James,
I thought there was a Martian invasion happening. I called my family. I hid in the basement and I waited.
Yeah, James, what do you think of the radio version? Because obviously that ties into I Made War of the Worlds a fair bit.
It does. I mean, it's a victim of its own notoriety. I think there's a lot of mystique around it, and it's a really nice radio play that has cemented an incredible sort of mark on history because of the hysteria that may or may not have existed around it.
Yeah, it's the same. I think it got quietly disproven, didn't it, that the papers were trying to rile up the radio. So yeah, Orson Welles is fantastic, and the play itself is very good. But yeah, I think the hysteria around it is, we're not in 1938 anymore. The world has evolved. Hey, there you go. I think, will War of the Worlds ever be made as a proper film? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they can get it right. I think it is.
If Spielberg didn't manage it, maybe it can't quite be done.
Chris Nolan, I'd watch that. Chris Nolan does War of the Worlds. I mean, he's getting slated for every Odyssey scholar as being like, oh, you missed this bit, oh, you missed this, so you done this. But Chris Nolan would bring the Martians here, okay? He would get them down straight here, and we'd have. To be fair, I'd actually watch a Chris Nolan period
with
War of the Worlds film,
with Michael Caine as the narrator. Mwah, gold dust.
I'd watch that. That's the one version I would relent. So unless Chris Nolan's making it, I'm probably saying no. I think that's a good time to go to a quick break. And why not? We'll cut straight to I Made War of the Worlds. We'll see you in 2.
Back a bit. Left a bit. No, your other left. There, that should do it.
That's meant to convince everyone, is it?
We see that's where your acting skills come in.
We know now that in the early years of the 21st century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Hello, fellow listeners. It is I, Jeff Henderson, here to take your messages from across the ether. I was this close to being the next Joe Rogan.
You're jobless, friendless, almost homeless.
As human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope studies creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water.
Filming has begun on the latest adaptation of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine.
I've got it.
We recreate a 1938 moment for a modern audience. Of course, another mass panic.
Your project is to trick the general public into believing they're being invaded by Martians.
I can see something otherworldly rising.
We're going to fool the whole world through my phone.
Few men even considered the possibility of life on other planets. And yet, across the gulf of space, minds immeasurably superior to ours regarded this Earth with envious eyes.
Trapped in this underground tunnel. I can only wonder if there are any Martians out there.
You should see it down here. Hundreds of miles of drain, sweet and clean now after the rain.
It's hardly the end of the world.
And slowly and surely, they drew their plans against us.
I say the chances of that working are about 1,000,000 to 1.
It's not coming soon. It's out now. I Made War of the Worlds and I Made the Time Machine and are available on the Cinescope YouTube channel. And I Made the Invisible Man will be available soon. But in the meantime, I'd like to welcome back. He is it. He played Clayton Morrison in I Made War of the Worlds. James, how was it seeing the trailer back after all this time? On War of the Worlds Day, of course.
Yeah, no, got a good looking supporting cast there, haven't you?
Yeah. One of them's a bit of a No, it's nice. I love that film. Love that film.
Yeah,
love that film.
It was
I thought
really,
we
really...
did a good job.
I do like that it is as fun to watch as it was to make. That was a fun one.
Yeah. Dan, have you seen our film? Have you seen I Made War of the Worlds?
I haven't, and I am shameful with face, and I apologise, and I will say 2 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys, and I will watch it as recompense.
You should. We're doing an omnibus version soon. I'm filming some new bits, and I Made War of the Worlds, I Made the Time Machine, and I Made the Invisible Man will be available as a big, long hour special. I'm filming some new bits with the Invisible Man potentially soon, which I need to write. I think we're living in, I think we touched upon this last week, so we had to look back at classic films and reliving Hollywood nostalgia, and we've got so many things coming back now. We've got Toy Story 5, we've got Shrek 5, we got Ali G coming back, we got Matthew Lillard back in Scream. Are we living in the age of nostalgia now? We're not doing anything new. I know I just spoke about why can't we make a book from the 1800s into a modern day film, but currently no one's making modern day films outside of Obsession and Backrooms. Essentially, we're all reliving the nostalgia. Do you think we're living through the age of nostalgia, James, in Hollywood?
I think this is a response to the massive wobble that cinemas took post-COVID. And no one wanted to take a risk on anything that might lose another few $100 million. So it's going back to recognizable, reliable, bankable, what do we got IP, because that's worth the investment. You can get return on investment on that. But also, I think we're coming out of the end of that with, the Odyssey and like Spider-Man, somewhat nostalgic, but like they're cleaning up. So maybe cinemas are getting strong again, and maybe we won't need nostalgia as quite as much of a crutch, but I definitely think it's a reaction still to, post-COVID cinema scare, and they're just looking for something safe.
So constantly as filmmakers and fans, so we complain about remakes and sequels and requels, but then with the type of people to go out and go on then, I'll go watch it. Like I went to see Scary Movie 6, and as I put an image of Toy Story 5 up, which is the total opposite end of the spectrum. But like we're the type of people to be like, oh, go on then. So are we kind of to blame for the nostalgia coming through, Dan?
Yes, we are to blame. We refuse to grow up. We are the Peter Pan generation, just wants the same thing delivered again and again by the spoonful and the spoonful. And I blame us, and I blame the memes we post and the GIFs we post, because yes, I'm a millennial, we still post GIFs, and Hollywood producers have noticed it. And they think there's a bankability about it. But then again, I blame boomers for their type of cinema, because it was the same stuff again and again and again, the spoonful and spoonful stuff. And even before them, because there's 5,000 Sherlock Holmes adaptations, there's 3,000 Frankensteins, 2,000 Draculas. We are just people that regurgitate the same stuff generation by generation.
He's back.
And Ali G.
And Ali G. He's back after a long period of time away. Much beloved character from the 90s, the 2000s. So have we reached a very scary point in certainly my life where the 2000s are now being treated as a historical era, James?
And I was thinking about this. I was thinking normally these nostalgia cycles work in blocks of about 30 years or so. Like in the 80s, you had Back to the Future set in the 50s. But I guess it's 2026 now, isn't it? So yeah, we're about in that cycle for the 2000s to hit that 30-year nostalgia mark. It's a weird one to have it's a weird era to have nostalgia for, because I still don't really think of it as having much of an identity.
No, not at all. Not at all. Apart from really, a Motorola Razr flip phone, and I don't know, Stone Cold Steve Austin is not really much outside of early 2000s.
Stone Cold Steve Austin with a Motorola flip phone.
Peak cinema. But yeah, Ali G is a case example of this. So he's back now. Who is this film for, Dan? Is it for us? Because it's got to have a wide appeal for him to make it. So do you think the younger people, the younger audience, are going to be interested in a character that hasn't been seen in over 20 years?
But my argument is we didn't even ask for this as well. Like Ali G.
No, we didn't. Really no, he shot her in. No, he shot her in secret, didn't he? So.
Yeah, but it's like Ali G was a really good capture of that time. The reason he dresses as he dressed, and it was a pop culture reference thing back in the day. And so it is very much referring back to that time. And I really just can't see it. This is whether it's In-Betweeners, Ali G, whatever it is. I can't see a new generation of fans looking at this and thinking, this person speaks for me. This person speaks for the 90s and the 2000s. And as much as it was brilliant and enjoyable back then, I don't understand why Ali G is back. Brilliant at the time. I'm baffled personally, but then again, I don't commission films.
On Ali G specifically, I'm going to give Sacha Baron Cohen the benefit of the doubt and say that it's less nostalgia driven, more like he did with Borat, whereas I think that I can do something contemporarily interesting by putting Borat into these situations. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's got some germ of an idea of why he can do something interesting with Ali G in 2026, because otherwise there is absolutely no reason for Ali G to exist in 2026.
No. But James, me and you are big Scream fans. Are we? I am.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I forgot then. I was like, is it you? I thought it would. So yeah, we spoke about Matthew Lillard coming back to Scream 7, and they brought a host of other ghost faces. Scream 5 and Scream 6, whatever happened, politics outside of it, I thought was was well done in the fact that it's that requel kind of sense where it did play on the nostalgia bit of it, but then to bring, and I want Stu to be alive, and I'm kind of the one that I'm part of the problem here. I'm like, I don't want no more nostalgia. I want new stuff. And then I see Matthew Lillard on screen going, "Oh, was that a thing for you, Sid?" And I'm like, yes, give me Matthew Lillard as Ghostface again. Do you think this stuff do you think this is more like the fan service? Do you think this actually helps Scream 7? Because we know what it went through. And
I'm going to be honest,
fan of this?
You put me off watching Scream 7, describing it to me. I still haven't seen it. Yeah, no, I don't know. Because Scream is supposed to have that meta element. So if they're doing it as some sort of snarky commentary on cameo-packed modern cinema that just recycles old ideas, then that's very in keeping with Scream. If it's because they are literally out of ideas, then that's really depressing.
Yeah, Dan, are you a Scream guy? Would you go watch any of the 7 Scream films?
I've watched the first one and appreciated it for what it is. I mean, but this is my argument with this. By the way, I love Matthew Lillard. I think he's just number one, a really good actor, but by all accounts, a tremendous guy. And it's the same way with Brendan Fraser for us with like the Mummy films, spectacular, and he just turns out to be a lovely chap. And it's my argument is don't confuse affection for these brilliant actors and brilliant human beings for wanting to see them, for the demand for these characters to be regurgitated again. We as an audience and as fans, we want to see them, but that doesn't mean we don't want the characters to be sort of pigeonholed into a plot and shoved into it. We like the people. They're talented actors. Give them other roles. Brendan Fraser either won an Oscar or was nominated for one because he's a good actor.
Oh, the Whale, yeah.
I think part of it as well is you talked about us millennials being the Peter Pan generation. I'm not as nostalgic. I want to see Matthew Lillard because it reminds me of Matthew Lillard in 1996 and the world of 1996 when I was a nice, safe, happy child. So I'm less interested in, I think there's a specific nostalgia for seeing people from the media that we enjoyed as children that doesn't fully translate to seeing 40, 50-year-old versions of those actors on screen again.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him as Shaggy and Scooby-Doo again. That's the exception to my rule, I will say.
No, I agree. And speaking of things from the childhood getting remade, regurgitated, me and James watched a trailer very recently from San Diego Comic-Con of Blade Runner 2099, the TV series. Dan, have you seen this? Are you aware? Are you a Blade Runner fan? I keep asking you, you're a fan of everything tonight.
I've seen the original and saw the sequel, but I've not seen the trailer for the new one. And I'm skeptical as always, but I'm Lancastrian. That is my modus operandi, to be skeptical of everything that's presented to me. Again, I've got to ask, I some of the stuff that's come out of it's brilliant, but what's the bloody point?
Yeah, I think I had my notes here. One question, what's the point? So it's becoming an 8-part limited series on Amazon Prime. I don't know anyone that's asked for this, really. Does Blade Runner need to become a television franchise at all, James?
No, absolutely not. But for one, the enduring appeal of Blade Runner is largely because it's like a crystallization of filmic language. It's just gorgeous. And another churned out mid-budget Amazon prop-up bit of content that's not going to translate. And it's, I don't know. I don't want to do the same. If it's another sort of hunting down replicants on Earth detective story, that's if they were doing something interesting within Blade Runner. The thing about, because I love Blade Runner and I love Blade Runner 2049. They are two of my favorite movies. And if they came back to Blade Runner, I've always been like, let's see what's going on in the off-world colonies. Like, that's the part of the story that none of those movies have touched. So if you're going to do something in the Blade Runner universe, do that. But if it's another thing on Earth hunting down human-looking robots through a bunch of neon, I'm not remotely interested, especially when it's going to look incredibly cheap compared to two of the most visually impressive films you're ever going to see.
Yeah, 'cause me and you both watched the trailer, and I think we were both kind of like, it doesn't feel like a Blade
Hollow.
Runner.
It felt
Yeah,
hollow.
it felt so. It's like the actual films felt, even the sequel, it felt so tangible and real and dark and gritty. And you even see like fan films being made of it of the same aesthetic, but it just looks like another sci-fi series kind of inspired by Blade Runner. It doesn't have that feel to me. It just feels a bit cool.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a money spinner, which I think is a bit of a shame, to be honest. Did you get that same feel?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that this originated as another sci-fi script, and then they're like, and we'll whack the Blade Runner name on it. Which also, weird name to whack on it, a movie that famously is only ever properly appreciated 20 years after it came out and exclusively loses money. Bizarre.
Yeah. Are you going to watch, Dan?
Probably not. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I think there are some film universes and book universes and TV universes that can work well and create multiple universes. Star Wars is an example of that because it's so bloody big, and Game of Thrones, whatever. I would argue that Blade Runner probably doesn't, and like you say, Blade Runner is a crystallized version of a perfect sort of artistic expression, and it works because it's contained. And I just don't see Blade Runner 2099 or wherever it's called working. And it's when you then have this big filmic ideas trying to reduce them to television, I just don't see how it would quite work.
No, I don't think. No, I love Blade Runner. I think they're both fantastic. But this is the one thing. As soon as I saw it, I was like, it just doesn't feel warranted or needed, and it doesn't feel like Blade Runner to me. And I was like, I can't, for the life of me, I can't watch it. So as soon as I saw that trailer with you, I was like, this just feels so bland and so lifeless. But
yeah, ostensibly this is made for us, and our first reaction was, oh no, thank you, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have.
It's not good. It's not good. So speaking of not calling this trash TV, but trash TV. Were you two aware of or seen a series years ago out in the States with Mr. Chris Hansen called To Catch a Predator? Have you ever?
I was aware of it. Not sure I've ever watched any of the NBC Dateline stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
I've only ever seen clips of it on YouTube. When he goes into the kitchens or houses of people that he's caught and confronts them. It's that sort of
I mostly know it from the reference in Arrested Development.
Fair enough. Well, the trailer just dropped recently because he is everywhere recently. He's never leaving our screens. It is Batman or wherever he is. He's fucking everything now, isn't he? Jesus. Yeah, Robert Pattinson playing Chris Hansen. It's a bit of a What do you think of this cast? Do you think it's a good casting or completely bizarre?
I think that because the idea of when you say the movie out loud, it definitely sounds like A24 are 100% using AI to generate their ideas. It's like, what was popular on TV 20 years ago? Why don't you do a movie about To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen? Like, on paper, it sounds absolute shit. But I think the Robert Pattinson seal of approval, because just as an actor, he doesn't need to do anything he doesn't want to do. And he seems to want to do stuff that's weird and interesting. So knowing that it was him, I was like, oh, this might actually be weird and interesting. This might be worth a look.
Yeah. Dan, do you think... Oh, I don't know. This is a weird one for me where I think, trashy TV from the early 2000s is being remade into A24 films now. So do you think Big Brother the movie is on the horizon soon, or that I'm a Celeb?
I can't wait for Daniel Radcliffe's version of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. That's the one I'm really aiming for.
You know what? I'd watch that, actually. I watched that. But I don't know how aware of it you are, but there's some pretty dramatic stuff happened in this as well, especially with a court judge and the police warrants. Do you think you could dramatize something that is, this is a very serious subject now, 20 years later, and without turning it all into entertainment? Do you think this is actually the right thing to do? Do you think this should actually have been made?
Then again, you would ask a question about when Steve Coogan played Savile in the documentary about Jimmy Savile. Was there a need for it? Because it felt a bit grimy, but it was still a bloody good drama and the fantastic performance. And I've no doubt that Robert Pattinson will do a really good job of this, by the way. It just depends on what the script is and how it's framed. I get the premise of it. I get why this kind of would be a movie. Feels very TV movie sort of thing. But I get that. But I don't want it to be a bit like, I'm not sure if you remember years ago, there was a thing called X Factor the Musical that Harry Hill wrote. I don't want it to be Deadline or Catch the Predator musical, which I don't think it will be. There were a lot of trashy TV around that
Jeff
time.
Lane's doing that.
Oh God. So James, do you think Robert Pattinson now has currently one of the most interesting careers of any mainstream actor, because he has no interest in taking the obvious roles for some reason?
Well, the reason is he wants everyone to forget that he was in Twilight.
Oh God, yeah. So we can put, yeah.
Yeah, no, but like him and Andrew Garfield both got a big load of money. They can come back to whenever they need money, do the money films, and then do stuff that they want to do. It just seems that Robert Pattinson wants to do a lot more stuff than Andrew Garfield's doing, and a lot weirder stuff. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think he's got the dream sort of career mold, and I find I'm starting to sort of like get genuinely interested in anything he's involved with, just because I know that he doesn't have to be there. So there must be something about it.
So Funky in the live chat says Mythbusters the movie would be good. The premise: Adam and Jamie get to obtain the hidden truth and go on the run from the FBI. Yeah. Dan, you've already said you're waiting for Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares with Daniel Radcliffe. James, what piece of 2000s television do you think we'll see turned into a prestige A24 film next?
I can't think of anything funnier than actually To Catch a Predator, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, it's so bizarre. It is so bizarre.
But I watched the trailer just before I came on, and I'm kind of sold.
I do want to see it. I do. Yeah, it's piqued my interest when I'm like, 'cause I know the backstory. My missus knows a lot more about it than me, and so she kind of filled me in on how it ended and stuff. But I was like, yeah, this kind of gets me. And Robert Pattinson now, he's on a bit of a not a career renaissance or career resurgence, but he's in everything, and he's so good. He's so good in everything. It's like, I thought he was one of the standouts of. Have you seen The Odyssey yet? Have either of you seen The Odyssey yet?
I'm seeing it next Tuesday. I was supposed to see it yesterday, but it all went to
Oh God! One day I will get to talk about The Odyssey on stream without thing. But yeah, he's for me, him and Anne Hathaway, the two standouts of The Odyssey. So I'm kind of interested in this. So do you think then this type of, because we're getting to award season now, so do you think Primetime sounds like the kind of award season drama exploitation, like kind of dressed up, or is it potentially something actually, oh, okay, this is generally quite interesting? Open either one of you.
I don't know if a movie about a TV show about catching child predators is maybe a bit too close to the bone for the Academy. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well done. Yeah, good chat. Cool. Just kind of leaving that one there. So there we go. So James, what have you been watching recently?
To Catch Predator. I've been watching X-Men 97 again for millennial nostalgia. Enjoying it. Still think the first season was better, but maybe just because it was so nicely unexpected. And for ultimate weird comfort zone nostalgia, and I'm glad that this name came up earlier when we were talking about definitive versions and millions of interpretations. I've been going back on ITV Player and watching all of the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, brilliant!
Nice, solid. Yeah,
That is
cool,
definitive. Man. That is a definitive adaptation.
Yeah. Dan, what have you been watching apart from countless footballing podcasts and Andy Burnham?
I've been watching, so I've nothing relatively new, but the two things I've been watching was watched Mordrin Undead's Doctor Who, Peter Davison serial, and
okay.
really actually quite enjoyed it. It was good to see the Brigadier back. And then I've been rewatching Rick Mayall in The New Statesman, which was a sitcom from the 80s where he plays the Right Honourable Alan Bastard MP. And it's just a hoot. It is just silly, stupid, funny, outrageous, and like we said, with many things on this stream, it's of its time, and it's brilliant.
Nice. Ironically, since we spoke last week, I have watched nothing, only 2 episodes of Ted Lasso. But I finished Chris Chibnall's Death of the White Hart book, his first one. That's good. I didn't watch anything over the weekend because, as Funky will probably be happy in the chat, I was absolutely hammered all weekend, so I didn't get a chance to watch anything, which was quite nice. So there you go. Funky always does it. So, but I always watch a bit of Doctor Who. So that brings us to our last section, which is Under the Scope. So this is where we look at a little bit of news that's just coming out recently. We just look at it a little bit further. So I don't know if you're both aware. This might be a little bit of interest to you as well, James. But Dean Devlin, the producer and writer behind Independence Day and Stargate and Leverage and The Librarians, has publicly said he wants to pitch for Doctor Who. He's going for that tender. And rumor has it he wants to bring back a certain 14th Time Lord once again. Apparently so. So, yeah, I know. It's doing the rounds now, bless. So first, Dan, you're the Whovian. Dean Devlin producing Doctor Who. Are you interested?
I mean, considering I just watched an episode of the 80s which brought back a beloved character who kept returning continuously within Doctor Who, and I enjoyed it. It would be odd for me to say I don't agree with him bringing back, or the rumor to bring back Tennant. Tennant, brilliant Doctor, superb Doctor, and I really enjoyed the 50th and enjoyed the 60th as well. Just, David, you're not going to fit in the waistcoat anytime soon, mate. So let's just sort of leave it be, pal. I don't know what the alternatives are when it comes to the showrunners. So who's going to be the next production company or the next creative vision to take it? So it would be interesting, sure, but I would need to see who the alternatives are.
James, would you be happy? I know you dipped from Doctor Who, didn't you, in the early 2000s?
The early Matt Smith stuff, if I'm honest. I know that everyone tells me if you stick with it, he's really good. But at the start, it's because it felt like David Tennant light. And I was like, I quite liked David Tennant. Weirdly enough, I quite like David Tennant, and his perennial returns to Doctor Who have done nothing to drag me back. So
no, fair. So how does that sound, Dean Devlin, to you? Because obviously he's got some sci-fi pedigree and he's openly interested in doing it. So would this pique your interest as someone that left?
I think someone of his sort of level, his credentials in Hollywood, one thing to be showrunner, that says something, and that'll carry a lot of cachet. And he makes stuff of varying quality, but it's all very consumable. So make of that what you will.
But I don't want a Hollywood director or a Hollywood voice or a Hollywood sort of person running Doctor Who. I kind of want it to be this haphazard DIY, getting the shoestring, budget on the shoestring BBC writer on it or a new emerging voice on it. I just want something that's a bit less polished or big budget.
But it's a brand now. It's a brand now. You attracted the Disney money for a bit. I don't know if that ship has sailed on it actually being able to be something that sticks to its proper creative roots, because it is IP. It's recognizable. It's part of the what do we got suit now.
So Dan, as a I would say lifelong Doctor Who fan base since 2005, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly.
How would you feel about an American taking over and running the cultural icon that is Doctor Who? How do you feel about an American running the show?
Blasphemy. It's almost like having an Australian James Bond. It was never the same after that. Fine. Absolutely fine, as long as they do it well. I've got no problem whether they're American, Australian, from Zimbabwe. As long as they do Doctor Who well, they'll do it well. It's got to have a British identity to it, I think. It's got to have something of a base within the UK, but I don't mind creative vision being American, but there's got to be the British charms and eccentricities and quirks to it. And perhaps he'll bring it in, perhaps it'll be someone else. I don't see why not, but there are some fundamental chords to it and the eccentricities and the understanding of it.
So do you think for the Doctor Who brand then, James, do you think somebody from outside the traditional BBC ecosystem, like Dean Devlin, would be good for the show now after everyone's kind of left now?
I think the BBC ecosystem, regardless of what names, you recycle the same names and same sensibilities, and it gets all to be much of a muchness. I think at this point, maybe you do need just someone with a total outsider's perspective, especially if the ambition is for it to be something that has American appeal as well.
But it has American appeal. The Britishness of the show has American appeal because that's why the American fans have been at it for many years.
But it's it's a little bit beyond just the presentation on screen. It's about, I suppose it's about its production positioning. I don't really know how to describe it. That extra intangible where it feels like it's got a bit of weight behind it. And I think Dean Devlin could probably do that.
It's kind of the Game of Thrones ization of it, I suppose. Yeah.
So Devlin is openly a Doctor Who fan then. Do you think that's reassuring, or do you think Doctor Who actually needs somebody that's less invested in its history, Dan?
I think that's a very good question, and I've tried to address this before, and I don't quite have a proper answer for it. I think you've got to have a respect for the show, but maybe not an utter devotion to the lore. You don't necessarily want an utter fanboy running it who's going to want references to an obscure monster from 1966, but you want someone who kind of gets the feel of the show and the fandom and respects it to an extent. And please, for the love of God, Luke, don't get me down the should this be a hard reboot argument again.
I've lost that. But so Devlin has worked with David Tennant before on Bad Samaritans, I think it was, and he described him as a big Doctor Who fan. Who had watched David Tennant's episode. So does the rumor come around that Dean Devlin wants to get David Tennant back involved in the next era? Do you think that makes these rumors slightly more interesting because they've already got that prior relationship, Dan?
You hear about this all the time. You hear, like, I'm sure back in the 90s, 80s, you'd have heard people wanting to bring back Tom Baker to do the role, or John Pertwee to do it full time. Lots of directors will know actors. You know, acting, whether it's in UK, US, is a very small base of people who make it. So directors and actors will work with a limited number. Just because he's worked with someone doesn't mean it's necessarily the right person or the right pick. If they've got an existing relationship, sure, it might work. But for me, it shouldn't matter. I think a new Doctor should be a new Doctor, come what may.
Would him coming back again entice you in, James? Or you just, no, not at all?
I think I would now. I think I've fallen so far out. Like, genuinely, the last time I went out of my way to consume Doctor Who media outside of, like, I always, not this year, obviously, but I always tune in to watch the Christmas special. Just
not this year.
No. But the last thing I was like, was the Day of the Doctor. And there I was like, oh, and David Tennant's back. How nice. But Jesus Christ, like, They're kind of flogging a dead horse now.
Yeah, it's gone a bit far. I think if the answer to every time Doctor Who struggles is bring back David Tennant, which seems to be the run of the mill at this point, what happens when David Tennant eventually says no, Dan?
Bring back Matt Smith, and if he doesn't say no, bring back Peter Capaldi. This is the thing that Doctor Who is all about, evolution, regeneration, for want of a better word. Don't get me wrong, we enjoy the anniversary episodes. We enjoy the nods and the winks to the show. We enjoy them coming back, making a cameo appearance, and that's the important thing. We like to see them in the cameos, but we don't necessarily want them to see them come back full time unless it's Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor, which we definitely want to see in a full series at some point.
And there we go. So yeah, there's actually been a little bit of a running theme tonight. It's how much should entertainment rely on its past inadvertently. So we're still adapting War of the Worlds over a century later. Hollywood keeps selling us our childhoods. So some rapid fire then to finish off. So, James, will we ever get the definitive War of the Worlds film?
No.
Dan, is Hollywood trapped in nostalgia?
Yeah, kind of, but yeah.
But it always has been.
Yeah.
Does Blade Runner 2099 need to exist?
No.
Are you going to watch Primetime?
Actually, yeah, I think I might do.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Should Dean Devlin get Doctor Who?
I don't care, but that might make me care. So we'll see.
Why not? Let's see.
Should David Tennant come back?
I don't care. That probably won't make me care. We'll see.
He probably will. We probably can't stop it. Let's enjoy it as a cameo, but not full time.
And yeah, no, I agree. I don't think David Tennant should ever come back to the role. He's been there enough. And I don't think we'll ever get the definitive War of the Worlds film unless Jeff Wayne makes it, or you watch I Made War of the Worlds when we make it last year. But thank you, gents. That was a nice little chat to talk all things nostalgic sci-fi in the end. That is it. Thank you to everyone in the chat that has joined us. And we will see. Don't forget, if you want to go watch some of the previous live streams, we talk about should you reboot Doctor Who, and I get absolutely roasted by everyone because that's what it seems to happen now. Everyone hates my opinions that Doctor Who should have a hard reboot, and I'm wrong. That's fine. We talk about Spider-Man. We talk about loads of stuff. We've got I Made War of the Worlds. I Made the Time Machine. I Made the Invisible Man coming up. We've got a new series of Hooligans. James, you're now in Hooligans as well. We're going to Hooverville in September. Are you looking forward to that? You're not a Doctor Who fan, but you're a guest at a Doctor Who convention. How does that make you feel?
Nervous. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
No, it'd be good. And yeah, once again, Dan, thank you for giving us your time this week, your journalistic expertise and your podcast producing experience. Are you going to go listen to the Jeff Wayne War of the Worlds album now, or are you going to go watch the Primetime trailer?
I'm going to watch I Made War of the Worlds, and then I might listen to...
He's dead. He is dead.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. We will never know what he's going to listen to. But once again, yeah, listen to what Dan said. Go watch I Made War of the Worlds. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And we will see you next week on Sound and Scope Live.